Hi class, I am here with another video to practice English at home. Today we will read an article about a couple that is trying to get out of debt. And then we will discuss some old and new vocabulary words. So let's go ahead and get started. This article is in the textbook and it is called A Credit Card Nightmare. Okay? Remember, an article is a piece of writing. It is writing that gives us information about a certain topic, about a topic. So in this article called A Credit Card Nightmare, we are going to meet the Kim family and learn about some of the problems they had when they got a new credit card. I want you to listen, okay? Listen, and if you can, read along with the text, okay? But go ahead and listen carefully, and then we will answer some questions after you listen, okay? Let's start.
Page 90, Exercise 2.
A Credit Card Nightmare. Soon he and Joseph Kim got their first credit card a week after they got married. At first, they paid off the balance every month. The couple's problems began after they bought a new house. They bought new furniture, a big-screen television, and 2 new computers. To pay for everything, they applied for more and more credit. Soon, they had 6 different credit cards, and they were more than $18,000 in debt. It was a nightmare, says Mrs. Kim. The interest rates were 19% to 24%. Our minimum payments were over $750 a month. We both got second jobs, but it wasn't enough. I was so worried about paying off the debt, I cried all the time. Luckily, the Kims found a solution. They met Dolores Delgado, a debt counselor. With her help, they looked at all of their living expenses and made a family budget. They combined their 6 credit card payments into 1 monthly payment with a lower interest rate. Now, their monthly budget for all living expenses is $3,400. Together, they earn $3,900 a month. That leaves $500 for paying off their debt. We've cut up our credit cards, says Mr. Kim. No more expensive furniture. In 5 years, we can pay off our debt. Now we know. Credit cards are dangerous.
Okay, so the Kim family, Soon Hee and Joseph Kim, were dealing with a lot of problems. They had a lot of credit card debt. So my first question to you about this article is, what is the main idea of the article? The main idea. Do we remember main idea? So the main idea is, what is the article mostly talking about? Okay, what is the article talking about? Is this an article about pizza? No. The main idea is what the article is talking about. Okay, so what is the main idea of this article? I know I can't hear you, but maybe you can say it aloud. What do you think the main idea is? Well, I think the main idea is best said in this sentence. Credit cards are dangerous. Credit cards are dangerous. The Kim family learns that credit cards can get you into a lot of debt. So the main idea of this article is credit cards are dangerous. You have to be careful with how you use credit cards. Let's look at the next question I have for you. So the next question is, when did the Kim family get their first credit card? When? So we have to look back at the article. Let's look back at the article. When did they get their first credit card? Well, it's there in the first paragraph. They got their first credit card a week after they got married. Okay, so when did they get their first credit card? A week after they got married. Let's look at the next question. Did their problems begin immediately? Did their problems begin immediately? What does that word immediately mean? We just talked about that. Do you remember we discussed immediately in the last unit? Immediately means right away. Did it happen? Did they get in debt right away? Did they start having problems right after they got their credit card? Well, no. At first, they paid off the balance every month. And so that was okay. When did their problems start? The couple's problems began after they bought a new house. So their problems didn't start immediately. At first, they were using their credit card and paying off the balance every month. But then they bought a new house, and that's when the problems began. So what was Mrs. Kim worried about? Later in the article, Mrs. Kim is worried about something. What was she worried about? So again, we have to look back through the article. Let's look. There it is. She uses the feeling worried, followed by that preposition about, paying off the debt. Okay? What happened after they bought their house? They wanted their house to be really nice, I guess, because they started to buy new furniture, big screen TVs, 2 new computers, and so they kept putting everything on their credit cards. Eventually, okay, they had $18,000 in debt. They paid for everything with their credit card. They bought everything with their credit card. $18,000 in debt. So, of course, Mrs. Kim was worried about paying off the debt. That is a lot of money. Okay, let's look at the next question. How did the Kim family solve their financial problems? How did the family solve their financial problems? Remember, financial means anything dealing with money. So how did they solve their money problems? That is what this question wants to know. How did they solve their money problems? Let's look back at the article. So, listen carefully. It says, luckily, the Kims found a solution. They met Dolores Delgado, a debt counselor. With her help, they looked at all of their living expenses and made a family budget. So here it is, okay? They combined their 6 credit card payments into 1 monthly payment with a lower interest rate. Now their monthly budget for all living expenses is $3,400. Together, they earn $3,900 a month. That leaves $500 for paying off their debt. Okay? So how did they solve their financial problems? Well, they talked to a debt counselor. Remember, a counselor is someone who helps you with a problem. Okay? You might have a counselor at school. Okay? But a counselor is somebody who helps you with a problem. They give you advice. A counselor gives you advice. So a debt counselor gives you advice about paying off your debt. So how did they solve their problems? They talked to a debt counselor, and then they made a family budget. And they tried to follow that budget so they would have $500 to pay off their debt. So now we are going to talk about some of the words that were in the article that maybe you don't know. But remember, it is always a good idea to practice more listening. So if you want to stop and go back, rewind, go back in the video and listen to the Kim's story again, listen to the article again, that will be great practice for you, okay? The best thing about videos is that you can listen again on your own. Now we are going to go ahead and talk about some of those words that maybe you didn't know in the article. The first one that they give you here is credit card. Now this one I think you do know. We have talked about credit cards, okay? A credit card. So let's look at the definitions that they have and choose which one is the best one to match with credit card. And it looks like C. Oh, sorry, B. It looks like B. A credit card is a small plastic card that allows you to buy something now and pay for it later. Okay? Let's talk about that one more time. When we buy something on credit, we are buying it now. That means we can take it from the store, okay? But we are not paying for it yet. We are going to pay for it later. And when you buy something with a credit card, you can pay for it little by little. So if you buy something very expensive, like a refrigerator, okay, and your refrigerator cost $1,000, well, 1 month you can pay $250, the next month $250, the next month $250, until you have paid off the refrigerator. So a credit card, a small plastic card that allows you to buy something now and pay for it later. Let's look at interest rate. Interest rate. Okay, interest rate. I see D, the rate or percentage of interest that you must pay each month on a credit card balance. So do you remember when we were first learning our new words, I said borrowing money isn't free. The bank or the credit card company charges interest for borrowing money. That means that refrigerator that you just bought for $1,000 at the end might actually cost you $1,200 because you had to pay $200 in interest for borrowing the money. So an interest rate is extra money that you pay because you borrowed the money so that you could pay it little by little. Let's look at number 3. Here's a new word. Minimum payment. Minimum payment. Now notice all of these words are 2 words that we are using to make one idea. Credit card, interest rate, minimum payment. We call those compound nouns because we are using 2 words to give one idea. So here, minimum payment. Let's see. Well, I see choice C says the smallest payment you can make each month on a credit card. Minimum means small, okay? The smallest. That is the minimum. So the minimum is the smallest. So the smallest payment you can make each month on a credit card. When you borrow money, the credit card company will tell you you have to pay at least $100 or you have to pay at least $25. It depends how much money you owe. But the minimum payment is the smallest amount they want you to pay. If you do not pay the minimum payment, they will charge you even more money and you will get in more debt. So it is important to pay at least the minimum payment. Number 4, debt counselor. So let's see. We already talked about a counselor is a person who helps you, who gives you advice. And a debt counselor is a person who gives you advice about debt and paying off debt. So choice E, a person who helps you solve financial problems. Let's look at the last one, number 5, family budget. Do you remember we talked a little bit about family budget in the last video? A family budget is A, a spending plan that a family makes for itself. So if you have a budget, you write down all of your expenses. I need to pay this much for rent, this much for my cell phone, this much for my electric bill, this much for water, this much for groceries. You write all of those things down so you know how much money you spend, and you compare that to how much money you are making. What is your income? What is your salary? How much money are you making? And then you will see, am I making enough to save and pay off credit card bills? Or do I need to find ways to spend less so that I will have money to save or money that I can use to pay off other bills? Okay, so now I have a few pictures that I want to share with you just so you can see these words again and have a better understanding. So remember, credit card, buy now, pay later. You can pay little by little with a credit card, okay? It's different than a debit card. We haven't talked that much about debit cards, but I didn't want you to be confused. When you have a debit card, okay, when you have a debit card works just like cash. A debit card is a card from the bank. It's a card from the bank, and it goes with your checking account. So if you have money in the bank, they will give you a debit card. If you have $500 in the bank, instead of paying with cash, you can use your debit card, and they will take the money out of your bank account. That is a debit card. It is not the same as a credit card. If you are using your debit card, it works just like cash. Okay, it will take money from your bank account. There is no interest rate for using your debit card. Okay, it is just like cash. It looks like a credit card, but you are buying now and paying now. You are not paying later. A debit card will take the money from your checking account, from your bank, whereas a credit card, they will send you a bill and say you need to pay this much money. Okay, so two different types of cards that look a lot alike. So here we have interest rate and minimum payment. Okay, interest rate and minimum payment. The picture that I have here for you is of a credit card statement, a credit card bill. This is what the credit card company would send you in the mail. And I can see for this account, the balance that was the previous balance, what they owed, remember the balance is how much you owe, was $2,421.96. Okay, $2,421.96. See where it says previous balance. Then it says payment credit, and you see minus $66. That's because they paid $66. So the month before they received a bill for $2,421 and they paid $66. Then they made no new purchases. That's good. Okay, they didn't buy anything else, but the interest charged was $43.62. So because they did not pay all the money, they got charged $43.62 in interest. I don't know what the interest rate is, the percentage, but I do know that they had to pay an extra $43.62. That means their new balance is $2,399.58. Okay? They have to make another payment by June 24th, 2018. See where it says payment due date. And the minimum payment they can make is $67. So they need to pay at least $67, okay? If they don't, they will have to pay a late fee. Look underneath, it says late payment warning. If we do not receive your minimum payment by the date listed above, you may have to pay a late fee of up to $37. So you will pay the interest and a late fee. Then it says minimum payment warning. If you make only the minimum payment each period, you will pay more in interest and it will take you longer to pay off your balance. Okay. They're telling you, if you only pay the minimum amount, it will take you a very long time to pay off your card. Look at the last month. They paid $66 toward the total that they had to pay. But they were charged $43 in interest. That means that they really only paid about $23, okay, toward the money that they need to pay off. So even though they paid $66, they really only paid about $23 because they got charged so much interest. So it can be very tricky, okay? It's very important to pay more than the minimum payment and to find credit cards that have a low interest rate because you don't want to pay a lot of extra money. And here we have Family Budget and Debt Counselor. I'm just showing you a picture here. We already talked about Family Budget, but you can see in this picture that there is just a place to write down what all your expenses are so you can see how much you are spending and decide if there is a way to spend less. And then also a debt counselor who is there to help you if you are having money problems. So now I want you to get out your workbooks and do workbook pages 84 and 85, okay? And we will go over those in the next video. I'll see you then. Bye-bye.